Kathy Gross. In the corner, waving her arms, is Cheryl Jensen. I've only known her my whole life, and I'll tell you all the Cheryl Webb story another time. Cheryl, it's just like a domino effect. To my right, we have Carl Crayer waving his arm. We have Randy Mayo waving his arm. And welcome to you all. We have a birthday in the audience. Patty, wave your arm back there. Let's sing happy birthday to her. Anna 1, Anna 2, Anna.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Patty. Happy birthday to you.
And welcome to all of you, whether you've been here before or whether this is your first time. Let me just take you through how things roll very quickly. I am almost done saying hello and introducing, and then I will turn it over to Carl to do our first book synopsis, which is Off Ramps and On Ramps. Feel free to eat your soups while Carl is talking. He will not be insulted when you do so. When our two gentlemen are doing their book synopses, there won't be any food service, but that doesn't mean there can't be food eating. Oh my goodness, I have left someone out. Doug Caldwell, master of all things digital, in the back of the room. Well, about 20 minutes, Carl will do his, not in about 20 minutes, for about 20 minutes he will do his synopsis. Then we will turn it over to our facilitators to facilitate discussion at the tables. Those of you who are facilitating today, raise your hands if you would. And then apparently we'll be appointing more. Let's give Betty a big round of applause. All right, so questions, comments, issues, concerns before I turn it over to Carl. All right, please join me in welcoming Carl Crayer. Off ramps, on ramps.
Good morning, everyone. You know, when I thought about this book, it reminded me a lot of when I studied freedom of speech, because what's interesting about freedom of speech is that we have rights, and there are consequences many times for exercising those rights. And it reminds me a lot about what this book is really all about, that a woman has every right to become pregnant, take care of an elder parent, and many, many reasons to go away from a job, and they're the right things to do, but there are consequences for exercising those rights. And that's what I have for you from the inside cover. Legions of professional women step off the career fast track at least once a year to raise children, care for elderly parents, or manage other family demands. But when they're ready to step back on track, just a short time later they hit a wall. On-ramps are far and few between, and the financial penalties for time out are punishing. Result, many women are lost on re-entry, and companies miss the chance to leverage this. Let's talk for a moment about what's called the opt-out revolution. The idea is there are large numbers of highly qualified women every year that drop out of mainstream careers. And I want to give you a quote from the book about how much of that there is. The data shows that 37% of highly qualified women voluntarily leave their careers for a period of time. But the amount of time spent outside the workforce is surprisingly short, an average of 2.2 years. Across sector and occupation, the length of time spent off-ramp varies, ranging from 1.5 years in the banking finance sector to 3 years in the legal profession. Just a little way down the road, the vast majority of off-rampers, 93%, are trying to get back into the career highway. Hype and scaremongering notwithstanding, contemporary women are deeply committed to their careers. The survey data shows that nearly 1 in 5 professional women regularly care for a parent, grandparent, aunt, or uncle. If you are not derailed by a 2-year-old at age 30, you may be derailed by an 80-year-old at age 50, okay? So it's either the beginning or the end, there's all those possibilities. There's a pervasiveness of a highly traditional division of domestic labor. fully 40% of qualified women with spouses reported their husband create more work around the house than they perform. Okay? Which does not surprise me in the least. That is not surprising. Well, I hope you enjoyed that synopsis of off-ramps and on-ramps. Thank you.
Standing synopsis, Carl. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to turn it over to the facilitators. A couple of things. We may not have a facilitator at every table. One thing I think we all know, women are outstanding communicators. So I think this in and of itself will spur conversation. There's not a set agenda for having a conversation, just maybe the agenda that you get something out of it. So if you don't have a facilitator at your table, what I'd ask you to do is just make sure everybody goes around and does an introduction. If you want to do pass around cards or just put cards in the middle of the table, please do that as a part of your discussion as well. I will turn it over to the facilitators and have a good discussion. Check back with you in a little while. On the agenda is the book, The Next Decade. Help me in bringing Randy Mayu to the podium.
Anybody hear about the financial crisis in 2008? Heard anything about that? Well, let me tell you about ripple effects, and this is in the book. That one was not in the book, although everything I said is connected. But this one is in the book. In the financial crisis of 2008, a lot of things went downhill in a hurry, and it was a serious, serious problem. But I will tell you that there is one place in the Mekong Delta where our financial crisis wiped them out. And this is a little parable and snapshot of the rest of the world's situation. Here's what happened. As we were rolling in money in the mid-2000s, we wanted more shrimp. And it turns out that there was a place in the Mekong Delta where they figured out a way to farm shrimp really effectively, and so they had a lot of shrimp and they sold it. And they were rolling in money. And when we quit ordering their shrimp because rich people no longer were eating as much shrimp, that literally devastated their entire delta. Now think about that. Okay, take a look at your handout. And it's The Next Decade, Where We've Been and Where We're Going by George Friedman. It is a really significant book. It sounds like it's going to, here's my predictions for the future. It's not really that. He wrote an earlier book called The Next 100 Years. And he says that what we're talking about now is there's a big picture and a short picture. And I'm going to summarize the book in a phrase. And then if you'll look at page, I don't know how your handout is. It's the third actual page. I'll summarize it in a box, then we'll go back to the front. Here's the summary of the book. We've got an empire, we got to protect it. That's the book. We've got an empire, we've got to protect it. All right, here's the paragraph summary. The next decade is about managing our status as an empire, whether we know that we are an empire or not, whether we even acknowledge that such status publicly or not, while maintaining and protecting our values, the values that make the United States the United States. The key person in this pursuit, struggle, challenge, threat is the United States president. He's not talking about a president, a specific president. He's talking about the position of president. The president has to take the lead and hold to our values, no matter how duplicitous he or she has to be. Yes, you heard that correctly. The president has to know how to be duplicitous. Anybody know a fancy word for that? Lie. So this is an HR book, by the way, whether we like it or not. Now, if you'll turn the page, I'll just tell you that there are separate chapters on Israel, Iran, Russia, China, etc. It's a provocative book. I think it is really interesting. And what he says is how we decide to manage empire in the next decade is going to be the whole ballgame. I think it's an important book. Hope you found this useful. Thank you.